The American-Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC, has been a powerful force in Washington for decades. It advocates for strong U.S.-Israel relations. AIPAC has consistently lobbied Congress and the Senate. Its goal is to shape U.S. foreign policy in favor of Israel.
AIPAC's influence is undeniable. It has played a key role in securing billions of dollars in aid for Israel. It also influences legislation related to the Middle East.
AIPAC's power stems from its extensive network. It cultivates relationships with lawmakers from both parties. AIPAC also mobilizes its members, encouraging them to contact their representatives on key issues.
This two-pronged approach has made AIPAC a formidable force on Capitol Hill. Its impact on U.S. policy in the Middle East is significant.
AIPAC leverages its financial resources to influence U.S. elections. It achieves this through its super PAC, the United Democracy Project, or UDP. UDP supports candidates who align with AIPAC's pro-Israel stance. This support often translates into substantial campaign contributions.
These contributions can be decisive, especially in tight races. AIPAC's involvement in campaign financing has drawn criticism. Opponents argue that it gives AIPAC undue influence over elected officials. They contend that this influence can distort U.S. foreign policy.
The debate over AIPAC's role in elections highlights the broader issue of money in politics. It raises questions about the influence of special interest groups on democratic processes.
There are growing calls for a shift in U.S. policy on Israel-Palestine. This is particularly true within the Democratic Party. Progressives are increasingly critical of Israel's treatment of Palestinians. They are pushing for a more balanced approach from the U.S., advocating for policies that prioritize human rights and international law.
This shift in opinion reflects a broader change in American society. Younger generations are less likely to hold an unquestioning pro-Israel stance. They are more attuned to Palestinian narratives.
This evolving public opinion creates pressure on U.S. policymakers. They must balance traditional alliances with changing demographics and values.
Section 4, the Harris Factor, a potential turning point. Vice President Kamala Harris's stance on Israel-Palestine is under scrutiny. She is the likely 2024 Democratic nominee. Harris has traditionally expressed support for Israel. However, some of her recent actions suggest a potential shift.
She has met with Palestinian leaders. She has also expressed concern over Israeli policies.
Harris's position is complex. She must navigate a delicate balance. On one hand, she faces pressure from the progressive wing of her party. They demand a more critical stance on Israel. On the other hand, she must maintain support from pro-Israel groups. Her approach to this issue will be closely watched. It could have significant implications for U.S. policy. Section 5. The tightrope walk, balancing Israel, Palestine, and American politics. The U.S. faces a difficult balancing act in the Middle East. It seeks to maintain its strong relationship with Israel. At the same time, it must address concerns about Palestinian human rights. This balancing act is further complicated by domestic politics. Pro-Israel groups wield significant influence.
The Biden administration has largely continued the policies of its predecessors. It has provided unwavering support for Israel. However, there are signs of potential change. The administration has restored aid to Palestinians. It has also criticized some Israeli policies. The 2024 elections could be a turning point. A new administration might adopt a different approach.
Section 6. The road ahead. U.S. policy in the Middle East post-2024. The future of U.S. policy in the Middle East is uncertain. The outcome of the 2024 elections will be a major factor.
A Democratic victory could lead to a shift in policy. A more progressive president might take a more critical stance on Israel. They might prioritize diplomacy and human rights.
However, any significant policy shift will face obstacles. Pro-Israel groups will likely resist any changes. The situation in the Middle East remains volatile. Any U.S. policy changes must be carefully calibrated. The goal is to avoid further instability in the region. Section 7. Lobbying and democracy, a complex relationship. AIPAC's influence highlights the complex relationship between lobbying and democracy. Lobbying is a legitimate part of the political process. It allows citizens and groups to make their voices heard. However, when lobbying groups wield disproportionate influence, it can undermine democracy.
The debate over AIPAC raises important questions. How much influence should special interest groups have? How can we ensure that US foreign policy reflects the interests of all Americans, not just a select few? These are complex questions with no easy answers. They are crucial to the health of American democracy. Please like, share, and subscribe for more updates.